3-year-old Emma Carter had slipped through a gap in her daycare's playground fence and wandered toward Interstate 95, where morning rush hour traffic moved at 70 miles per hour in dense patterns that would make avoiding a small child virtually impossible for drivers who had no reason to expect pedestrians on the busy highway. Her daycare teachers discovered her absence during transition time between outdoor and indoor activities, but Emma had already traveled nearly 200 yards toward the interstate entrance ramp, where her bright red jacket made her visible against the concrete but couldn't protect her from vehicles traveling at deadly speeds. But Rusty, a homeless golden retriever mix who had been surviving near the highway for months, spotted Emma's dangerous trajectory and immediately understood that a toddler was walking towards certain death on one of the region's busiest highways. Without hesitation, Rusty positioned himself between Emma and the oncoming traffic, using his body as a living barrier, while barking frantically to alert drivers and potential rescuers to the life-threatening emergency unfolding on the shoulder of a highway where any mistake would be fatal for both child and dog, who had chosen to become her protector. Welcome to Saved by Tales. Before we dive into this heart-stopping story of protective instinct meeting impossible odds and a homeless dog's courage creating hope when toddler curiosity led toward traffic that showed no mercy to the innocent, join our community of animal hero enthusiasts who understand that heroism often comes from the most unexpected sources when children need protection from dangers they cannot comprehend. Rusty had been living as a stray near Interstate 95 for 8 months, surviving through intelligence, caution, and an understanding of highway dangers that had kept him alive in one of the most dangerous environments possible for homeless animals. The golden retriever mix had learned which areas were safe for finding food and water, which traffic patterns posed the greatest risks, and how to avoid both animal control and the dangerous situations that claimed the lives of many stray animals near busy highways. "There's been a stray dog in this area for months," reported Highway Maintenance Supervisor Mike Rodriguez. "He's smart enough to avoid traffic and seems to understand the dangers, but animal control hasn't been able to catch him." Little Sunshine Daycare was located approximately 300 yards from the Interstate 95 entrance ramp, separated by a chain-link fence that was designed to keep children safely away from the dangerous highway traffic. 3-year-old Emma Carter was an adventurous toddler who possessed the natural curiosity that made constant supervision essential, especially in environments where exploring could lead to life-threatening situations. Emma's escape from the daycare playground occurred through a small gap in the chain-link fence where recent storm damage had loosened the bottom section enough for a determined toddler to squeeze through during unsupervised moments. Emma loves exploring and finding new places to play, her teacher, Sarah Martinez, often observed. "She's curious about everything beyond the playground, but we've always been able to keep her safely contained within our secure area." The gap in the fence was small enough to escape routine inspection, but large enough for Emma's small body to fit through when her attention was captured by something interesting beyond the playground boundaries. Rusty was foraging for food near the highway maintenance area when he spotted Emma's bright red jacket moving through the tall grass toward the interstate entrance ramp, where traffic posed immediate and fatal danger. The golden retriever mix immediately recognized the danger pattern: a small child approaching highway traffic during peak morning hours, when driver attention was focused on navigation rather than scanning for pedestrians. Rusty's response to Emma's danger was immediate and professional, drawing on protective instincts that overcame his natural wariness of humans and his learned caution about approaching unfamiliar situations. The golden retriever mix bolted toward Emma's location, covering the distance between them before she could reach the highway shoulder, where traffic posed immediate and fatal risks for anyone who entered the roadway. "Pretty doggy," Emma exclaimed with delight when Rusty reached her, having no understanding of the danger she was approaching or recognition that the dog was engaged in a life-saving rescue mission. Rusty's positioning was sophisticated and purposeful, using his body to create a barrier between Emma and the highway while beginning systematic alerts to drivers and potential rescuers who could provide human intervention. The golden retriever mix's barking was urgent and distinctive, designed to attract attention from multiple sources while maintaining his protective position between Emma and the deadly traffic that continued moving at 70 miles per hour. Rusty's emergency barking successfully alerted the first driver to notice the unusual situation developing on the highway shoulder, where a small child and dog were dangerously close to high-speed traffic. Truck driver Jennifer Walsh immediately recognized the emergency when she saw Rusty's protective positioning and Emma's proximity to the traffic lanes, activating her hazard lights and beginning emergency communication with other drivers. "There's a kid on the shoulder with a dog," Jennifer radioed over CB channels used by professional drivers. "Everyone slow down and watch for them near the entrance ramp." Additional drivers began responding to the emergency alerts, creating an impromptu safety network that reduced speeds and increased awareness of the danger developing on the highway shoulder. Rusty maintained his protective barrier while continuing systematic barking that helped guide human attention toward the location where immediate intervention was needed to prevent a tragedy. The emergency situation created an unprecedented coordination effort among drivers who recognized that a toddler near highway traffic required immediate collective action to prevent a fatal accident. Highway Patrol Officer Mark Rodriguez received multiple emergency calls about the child and dog on Interstate 95, triggering immediate response protocols for highway pedestrian emergencies. "We have reports of a small child near traffic at the entrance ramp," Rodriguez radioed as he responded to the scene. "Multiple drivers are reporting a dog that appears to be protecting the child from oncoming traffic." Rusty's continued protective positioning allowed drivers to coordinate safe stopping distances and warning systems that created a temporarily safer environment around Emma's location. The Golden Retriever mix demonstrated remarkable understanding of traffic patterns and driver behavior, maintaining his protective role while adapting to the human emergency response that was developing around them. Little Sunshine Daycare's discovery that Emma was missing triggered immediate emergency protocols and systematic searching that quickly led staff members toward the highway area where Rusty's barking provided audio guidance. Emma Carter, called daycare director Lisa Chen, as staff members spread out to search the area beyond the playground where the fence gap had allowed Emma's escape. Rusty's persistent barking served as a beacon that guided daycare staff toward the highway location where their emergency response was desperately needed to retrieve Emma before traffic conditions became impossible to manage safely. "There she is. There's Emma, with a dog on the highway," reported teacher Sarah Martinez as she spotted the protective scene that Rusty had maintained throughout the emergency. The daycare's emergency response coordinated with highway patrol and driver alerts to create a comprehensive rescue operation guided by Rusty's protective positioning and communication. Emma's retrieval from the highway shoulder required careful coordination between highway patrol daycare staff and the traffic management system that drivers had created in response to Rusty's emergency alerts. "Easy boy, we're here to help," Officer Rodriguez said gently as he approached Rusty and Emma, recognizing that the Golden Retriever mix had been protecting the child and deserved respectful treatment during the rescue operation. Rusty maintained his protective position until human rescuers were close enough to take direct custody of Emma, only then allowing his exhaustion and stress from the extended emergency to show. "Good doggy protected me," Emma told her rescuers in her limited toddler vocabulary, unconsciously summarizing the life-saving intervention that had prevented a highway tragedy. The successful retrieval operation demonstrated how animal protective instincts could coordinate with human emergency response to create successful outcomes when conventional safety systems failed. The daycare staff and Emma's family expressed overwhelming gratitude to Rusty, understanding that the homeless Golden Retriever mix had risked his own life to protect a child he had never met before. "That dog saved Emma's life," said Emma's mother, Patricia Carter, when she arrived at the scene. "He could have been killed by traffic, but he stayed with her and kept her safe until help could arrive." Highway Patrol Officer Rodriguez immediately recognized Rusty's heroic behavior and began coordinating with animal control to ensure that the dog received appropriate care and recognition rather than standard stray animal processing. "This dog conducted a professional-level rescue operation," Rodriguez observed. "His protective positioning and communication saved both the child and potentially prevented a multi-vehicle accident that could have been fatal for drivers as well." The incident attracted attention from local media and animal welfare organizations who recognized Rusty's heroism and wanted to ensure he received proper care and permanent placement. Rusty's heroic rescue led to immediate adoption interest from multiple families, but Emma's parents, Patricia and David Carter, felt the strongest connection to the dog who had saved their daughter's life. "Rusty belongs with our family," Patricia declared during discussions about his permanent placement. "He protected Emma when we couldn't, and we want him to be part of our family forever." The adoption process was expedited due to the extraordinary circumstances of Rusty's rescue and the clear bond that had developed between the Golden Retriever mix and the child he had protected. Rusty's transition from homeless stray to beloved family member was smooth and successful, with the dog seeming to understand that his protective mission had earned him a permanent home with the family he had saved. Emma's near miss led to immediate repairs of the daycare fence and implementation of enhanced security protocols that would prevent future escapes toward the dangerous highway area. Rusty's rescue showed us gaps in our safety systems that could have been fatal, acknowledged daycare director Lisa Chen. We've implemented multiple improvements to ensure this never happens again. The incident also contributed to improved highway safety education and enhanced coordination protocols between daycare facilities and emergency responders in areas near dangerous traffic. Rusty's rescue inspired community-wide recognition of the potential for stray animals to serve as protectors and the importance of treating homeless animals with compassion and respect. Rusty proves that heroism can come from anywhere, said animal welfare advocate Dr. Amanda Foster. His courage and protective instincts saved a life and deserve recognition and support from our entire community. The story was featured in highway safety education programs and animal welfare campaigns that highlighted both traffic dangers and the remarkable capabilities of protective animals. Following Emma's rescue, Rusty maintained protective behavior toward her during their family life together, seeming to understand that his role as her guardian continued beyond the highway emergency. The golden retriever mix adapted well to family life while retaining the alertness and protective instincts that had made his highway rescue possible when conventional safety systems failed. Years later, Emma and Rusty remained inseparable companions, with their story continuing to inspire highway safety education and animal welfare programs throughout the region. "Rusty is my hero," Emma would tell people when she was old enough to understand what had happened on the highway. "He saved me from the cars and kept me safe until Mommy and Daddy could find me." The bond between Emma and Rusty demonstrated the remarkable potential for protective relationships between children and animals whose courage could create miracles when conventional safety systems faced failures that threatened innocent lives. Rusty had proven that some guardians come with 4 legs, homeless backgrounds and hearts big enough to risk everything for strangers who needed protection from dangers they couldn't understand or avoid alone. I still think about that morning when a 3-year-old girl wandered through a gap in a daycare fence and headed straight toward Interstate 95, where 70 miles per hour traffic would have killed her instantly, while her teachers remained unaware that their student was seconds away from stepping into certain death. If Rusty had prioritized his own safety as a homeless stray, if he'd lacked the courage to approach unfamiliar humans, if he'd been anything less than a natural protector who understood that some situations require risking everything for innocent lives, Emma Carter would have died on that highway while help remained unaware that intervention was desperately needed. Rusty's story teaches us something profound about the protective potential that exists in animals society has forgotten, proving that heroism recognizes no social boundaries and often emerges from the most unexpected sources when children need guardians who will never abandon their posts.